Super early, super cold. Don't know why I'm out here riding a motorcycle right now, but here we are. Pop open this doggy door so the kitty can get out. Speaking of kitty, there he is. Hi. Yes or no? Either come or don't. Door's closing. Yep, there you go. Good job. I don't know if you guys can see the mileage here. 11,998. So we'll be eclipsing 12,000 here on this ride. Now we're gonna go on a little cruise. And I believe it's like 20 some degrees out right now. But we're gonna try not to freeze too much. See how it goes. I can already feel my hands getting all that airflow coming through the knuckles, and it's super cold. I'm gonna have frozen hands, frozen fingers really quick. And always remember, like, no matter what the temperature says, let's say, I believe the last time I checked before I left, it was like 27 degrees. So just remember, if the temperature is reading, the thermometer is reading 27, as soon as you hop on this bike and start cruising, that is going to change because of the wind chill factor and everything else. So look up a chart. You can find them all over online. But it basically shows you, I'm doing 50 miles an hour right here. If it's 27 degrees at 50 miles an hour, the wind chill is going to make it much colder than 27, right? So my hands right now and fingers are feeling, you know, like I'm dipping in a bucket of ice water. And little baby piranhas are nibbling on my fingers. Doesn't feel good. So yeah, you don't want to put yourself through that. Especially, you can see my gloves. I got a bunch of holes in the fingers anyway, so my gloves aren't even intact. Got some construction going on through here. So I think the road's pretty chunky and beat up through here, so you want to definitely slow it down ahead of time and prepare yourself for some of these unexpected bumps and stuff you're going to face through here. I think they've been patching up some chunks of this road. Sometimes they do a really crappy job of patching, so when you run that over, it can be like a big old bump and throw you around, catch you unexpectedly. So even if it's a road you've ridden 1,000 times, if there's any sort of construction, treat it like a brand new road as far as any hazards and stuff to be on the lookout for. Ooh, yeah, my hands are frozen already. So I've been out here maybe a couple minutes and hands are already frozen, miserable. So not what you want when you're riding a motorcycle. You want your gear to work for you. Otherwise, it's like I'm out here with no gloves on, which, you know, basically is what it feels like, and that's not cool. I have a couple different pairs of gloves too. A pair of old snowboarding gloves would have been a way better, smarter idea than these little cheap ass Icon mesh gloves. But you live and learn. Hopefully that's the goal, right? Live and hopefully learn something from making stupid choices. And hopefully you don't lose any fingers and face too big of a consequences in learning the lesson. Come back with frostbite and stuff. It's your nerve damage to my hands, and then I can't ride anyway. Yeah, I didn't really here's a little thing you can do as you're riding. Well, hopefully not as you're riding, but you can take little pit stops, and then whenever you get the chance, just kind of rub your hands together, smack them together a little bit, get a little blood flow and friction going. You can bend your fingers, keep the blood flow moving. Yeah, not a good idea for the hands today. They are not happy. Yeah, as I was mentioning, as soon as you get going, you can feel anywhere the cold airflow is getting through your gear. And one of those areas is usually going to be around your neck and your collar line, because no matter how high up your motorcycle jacket or whatever comes up, your neck and everything underneath your helmet is usually going to be a little bit exposed there. So it's a great idea to get yourself a scarf, some kind of nice warm scarf, wrap it around, and that'll kind of bridge that gap between the top of your jacket and the bottom of your helmet, and provide you with some nice warm protection on your neck and going down the front of your shirt. Because right now I can feel the cold air all over my boobies, all over my sternum, going right down my stomach. So it's penetrating, piercing right through. And keep in mind, it's only like, I don't know, 8:30 a.m. right now. So super early, super cold. Don't know why I'm out here riding a motorcycle right now, but here we are. So along with analyzing how my body feels, how I feel personally, physically cold, mentally pretty aware and alert. Woke up, had a shower today. This really cold weather is, kind of helps wake me up, make me a little bit alert. But you want to kind of analyze or gauge your own mental awareness and judgment. See if you're cognitively there and how you're feeling. Whew, man, it's not fun on the hands. But along with how you're feeling, you also want to kind of keep in mind how your bike is doing. If it's this cold out, then, and I haven't ridden it all yet today, then my tires, my bike, everything's going to be pretty chilly, and that can affect some of your traction a little bit. So it's a good idea when you get out and start cruising to scrub in your tires a little bit, warm them up. That'll help with some traction. It'll keep you a little safer as you're cruising, keep you more connected to the road. So if your hands, everything's already cold when you're doing 40, 50 miles an hour on some little back roads and stuff, imagine how you're gonna feel when you jump on this highway here, 287, doing 60 miles an hour, 65. It's gonna just compound the cold a little bit, make you even more miserable. But yeah, those are good things good lessons to try to learn. You can kind of go out on this ride and experience stuff like that, how cold certain parts of you are at certain speeds and so on. And then you can hopefully go back home and learn that lesson, and the very next time you go out for a ride, you can do a better job. You can make sure you got the right gloves on, make sure you bundle up properly, get a scarf, get yourself all good to go before you hop on a motorcycle in cold temperatures like this. Because yeah, if I had a long commute, like I'm just cruising up to Loveland and back, quick little trip hopefully, it'd probably take me, I don't know, half hour, 40 minutes round trip still. But if I had like an hour-long commute all the way down to Denver or something, then I would be I'd be in pretty bad shape by the time I got there. I've only been on this ride for maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10, I don't know. And it's already kind of sucking, especially with the hands. So mostly with the hands. If I had better gloves, I'd be chilling I'd be all right. But because of one little aspect of bad choice of gear, that can make all the difference. So just some little tips for all of you as the beginners especially. Try to learn from my mistakes and get yourself all equipped before you go out. So that way this ride could be nice and comfortable and enjoyable for you. And you don't have to go out here and torture yourself and then try to do better next time. Just take it from me, make sure you're fully bundled up, warm, toasty. Even go above and beyond and get yourself some heated gear, heated gloves and socks and all that good stuff. Then you can be out here like loving life, having a great time on your motorcycle, instead of wondering what the hell you're doing. Why am I out here? Yeah, if you do end up out here, some tips are just, you know, do the best you can. If it gets to a point where you're losing function of your hands to be able to operate your controls safely, like if I wasn't able to squeeze in my clutch right there, ease it back out smoothly, if I'm not able to apply my brakes effectively, if I'm compromising my ability to kind of operate my machine safely and use all the controls the way I need to be able to, it's time to pull your bike over and I don't know, find a gas station, go inside. Maybe the bathroom has one of those air hand dryers. Go stick your hands under there and thaw them out. And maybe you have to make pit stops every 5 minutes at another gas station or another location and warm yourself up. That is a better alternative than trying to push it and just saying, fuck, my hands are frozen, they're not working, I can't use them, I'm gonna keep going. That's not the way to do it, because then as soon as somebody pulls out in front of me, if I can't use my hands and use my controls properly, then I'm not gonna be able to, you know, react and save myself if someone's cutting me off or whatever. So make sure you're, even if it's cold, maybe you're pretty tough, maybe you can tolerate it a bit, but make sure you're not losing any kind of motor control function, because that's going to be a recipe for disaster there. Right now, my hands are super cold, frozen fingers. They don't feel good, but I can still operate my controls pretty smoothly. I'm still able to use my brakes and clutch and everything at the moment. So if I was to keep riding out here for another 20 minutes, half hour at this point, then I'd probably be approaching that stage of not losing at least some dexterity with my hands and fingers. So thankfully our destination is right up the street here, another like minute or two, a couple blocks. So hopefully that'll give us a chance to warm up and get our hands back in working order before we make the ride back. And I'll have to dig through my bag. I have a backpack on. Maybe I got some better gloves inside of there. That'd be the smart thing to do. Kind of toss an extra pair in there so that you're prepared. Maybe even another layer. If your gloves are big enough, I could put these ones on and then double up and maybe put some bigger, bulkier ones over top of them. As long as I can still use my hands and fingers and everything properly and safely on the bike. Yeah, cruising through Loveland here. Running to this vitamin, it used to be a vitamin cottage. Nowadays they're called natural grocers. But it's basically the same difference. If you remember on Main Street, there used to be that vitamin cottage right next to Showtime Video. Now they're all natural grocer. Cool. Well, we made it one way so far. Holy moly. Hands are frozen. Let's take a look. No, they're not black or purple just yet, so that's good. Very, very chilly though. Very, very chilly. So yeah, rub them together a little bit. Do some clapping like Doc, Uncle Disrespect. Yeah, try to flex your fingers a little bit. all the little knuckles, big knuckle, little knuckle. Try and get some movement going. That'll help circulation and blood flow. That'll help bring some warmth back into your hands and fingers. It's gonna suck. It's gonna feel like crap. Especially if they're numb, and then you start to regain some sensation, some feeling. It's really pretty painful, but all right, we're gonna run in here and grab some goodies. Guess we can warm them up by the exhaust. It's a great idea. All right. So here's another tip for you. If, for example, I just rode up here, about probably 10-15 minute ride, got to this natural grocer. They don't have anything as far as those hand dryers in the bathroom to warm up your hands. You could hold them under the sink and have some warm water and kind of get some feeling back in your hands, warm them back up before you do your trip back home. If in the event they don't have a hand dryer like this place, you basically have one built into your motorcycle right here in the form of your exhaust pipe. So you don't want to be down there huffing on the exhaust, breathing all that nasty crap in, but you can just kind of hunker down here and hold your hands close to it, and it's like a cheap little hand dryer. I can feel a little bit of the warmth coming out of that exhaust pipe, especially if I let it warm up or ride it for a little bit, and I can feel some warmth out of there. So if you're really in a dire situation, crucial, your fingers, your hands are super numb, but you can't afford to stay out in the cold, and you need to keep going and get where you're going, then you can pull off occasionally, find a good spot, pull over, and stick your hands down here by your exhaust pipe. Warm them up a little bit, rub them together, clap them together, bend those fingers, keep the circulation moving, keep the blood flowing. Try and get those hands warmed up a little bit. Then stick them back in your cold gloves. Bring your gloves down here. Try to hold them next to the exhaust pipe. Warm them up a little bit. Do the best you can, right? And if you have to pull over every couple minutes and do that, then that's what I want you to do to keep your hands warm and usable. All right, I think we're good. Another great tip here when anytime, I think I've mentioned this in a couple videos, but anytime you're leaving a parking space, just came out of a store, getting ready to roll out, it's a good idea if you have the opportunity to pull forward a little bit and then just take a peek back at where you just were and make sure you didn't drop anything on the ground. Real easy to accidentally think you got something going into your pocket and it's actually hanging kind of half cocked or some shit. Sweet doggo. I see doggo. But yeah, and then you start pulling away and getting some motion and movement going, and then that thing falls out of your pocket the rest of the way, and it's just laying there on the ground, your keys, your wallet, your whatever. So if you have a little bit of patience, a little bit of just awareness of your environment, yeah, just pull forward a little bit and then do kind of a last looks thing before you roll out of there. It can save you a big headache if you cruise 20 minutes back to your destination and then realize you don't have something, especially if you're rocking a backpack and hauling groceries and stuff like that. You can do some kind of quick little checks and make sure your backpack's all cinched up and strapped and snapped shut the way it's supposed to be, and just all your gear is secure. Save you some trouble, save you some headaches. But yeah, fortunately we spent, I don't know, 5-10 minutes in the store walking around grabbing some groceries and stuff, and it allowed us just enough time to kind of warm up our hands a little bit, regain some feeling in our fingers, and so that was good. And now here we are, back on the bike. Don't forget to cancel your turn signal. Here we are back on the bike, cruising back, and so we're kind of starting fresh again because we got the chance to warm our hands up. So this is like starting our journey all over again, where we feel pretty decent to start, and then about 5 minutes into this ride, we're going to be experiencing those cold hands again. But for now, we're okay. For now, we're okay. But yeah, even if you spend some time warming up your hands, it doesn't take very long. As soon as you get on the bike, start doing 40 in this cold temperature, that your fingers are going to start freezing right away again. So that's why the frequent breaks are going to be a good, useful tool for you. Even if it's just pulling off and warming up your fingers by your exhaust pipe. And depending on what kind of bike you're riding, sometimes your engine will get warm enough down here that you can actually kind of warm up your hands or fingers right next to your engine. So yeah, figure out what works best for you depending on your ride and your setup. Try and make it work for you. Now I look like my bag is fully strapped. See it flying in the shadow behind me. So yeah, more tips for cold weather riding in freezing wind chill. Is I mentioned earlier about a scarf for your neck area and top of your chest. Obviously, the way your arms are oriented and your hands, the wind is hitting your knuckles, the front of your hands, top of your hands, and also right down the sleeves of your jacket. So if you have the ability to get some gauntlet style gloves that come up over the top of your jacket, or a way to cinch your sleeves up so that the air's not getting in there, then that's really going to be helpful as well. Anywhere that air is able to get in, it's going to suck. So yeah, already my right hand, my throttle hand, is super cold again, pretty much frozen. And that air is going down my sleeve. Doesn't feel great. You can try to give yourself a break, at least tuck your left hand down here out of the way. Try to let it warm up a little bit. If you're in a high traffic area, then I want both your hands up here on your grips so that you're able to use your controls and respond. But if I'm in an open stretch like this, prior to this intersection, I can try and take a break. As I get close to this intersection, my hands are definitely coming back out here onto my grips, prepared to use my controls, covering my controls. I'm not losing anything out of my backpack. I'm talking about last looks before you take off, and it seems like I didn't even make sure all my buckles were fastened properly. Do as I say, not as I do. Learn from my mistakes so you can be better off, better equipped. Chilly. Oh yeah, this right hand is not gonna be happy with me for a little while. Give a new definition to the stranger. Notice how I'm pointing my nose, looking all the way around this curve. Nice big head turn. Now I'm setting myself up to the outside. Head is turned. I'm looking all the way as far as I can see around this curve. I'm accelerating, holding a steady, slightly increasing throttle, slight bit of acceleration through that turn. Keep a nice stable suspension. Good traction, ground clearance, stability as I'm going around that corner. That's what you want. And if I were to halfway through that turn, I'm not going to freak out and change anything. I'm going to keep a nice steady throttle, keep looking where I want to go, keep everything nice and stable. That's going to allow me to ride over that patch of gravel at a nice stable suspension with as much traction as I can hopefully get. Depending on the curve, if I have the opportunity to come out of my lean a little bit and maybe straighten my bike up a little bit and still navigate the curve successfully and safely, then that's definitely something I can shoot for. The more straight up and down I am as I cross over the slippery debris, the better, the more traction I'll have available to deal with it. The more leaned over I have, the more chance I have to slip out. But stability and all that is very important, so sometimes the best course of action to make it through the turn and navigate over top of that gravel is to just hold the course, you know, steady speed, keep that lean angle steady, no abrupt changes in speed or direction or anything like that. Keep everything kind of nice and steady and locked in. Yeah, now I can feel it. My right hand is kind of past the point of cold, kind of into the numb stages. And even though I'm holding my throttle steady, you can kind of see my hand. I'm still able to kind of flex my fingers a little bit, keep my hand working. I can take it off here in moments like this, open and close my hand and flex it. But this right hand is definitely freezing at this point and getting to this point of like numbness. So that's the area I was talking about earlier of a dangerous area where you're going to start to lose some of the dexterity and functionality of your hand and your fingers. So don't get to that point. Don't let yourself get to that point, because then if I have to make an emergency stop, I might not be able to do it very well or at all. So it's a form of impairment, right? It's essentially a physical impairment where my body's not gonna be able to work the way I need it to ride this motorcycle safely. And when it comes to impairments, you don't want to ride your motorcycle impaired, whether it be mentally, physically, whateverly. Riding and being impaired is not the good combination. There's certain skills that you need to ride a motorcycle safely, like your, focusing, attention, judgment, hand and eye coordination, balance, motor skills. You need all these things to ride and operate this machine safely. And impairment literally means to make worse. So if you're impaired, it's going to make all those skills you need worse. Or maybe kind of get rid of them altogether.